Alrighty then, here we go. Are you ready, Heather?
Pretty much.
Good. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing alright. I'm crocheting while we speak to make it feel
Alrighty
like I'm
then.
doing something productive.
Well, that's good. And yeah, we're gonna have a quick and short little stream tonight, just sort of to fill the void here. So I hope everybody out there is doing well. We went live very last minute here. We've had a lot going on this whole weekend, really, and yeah. So hopefully this will still be a fun conversation. I hope you've all had a good weekend so far. And we're very grateful to everybody on the Patreon who supports, especially the $10 and up tier, such as Heather. There's also Shady, Autoknight, Emerald, Senko, DJ, Rain, Billy, Alden, Kanto, Mr. Sonic, Alicia, StarChaser, VentureCorp, Willyzin, Icanus, Vulpecula, Jimmy, Yoshi, and Dark Malcontent. Now then, we'll hop over to our first topic of the day, right? Because all we can really do is steal farm content off of Reddit. Really
I
steal
don't
their
think it's a bad
content.
thing to go to Reddit. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing to go to Reddit and, like, just get in on a discussion that already exists. I mean, what's the big deal? Also, share your screen so I can see what the fuck's going on.
Indeed, indeed. Let me do that real quick. And remember, guys, if you want to join the conversation, you are able to do so. Up at the top of the description, the very top of the description, is a link to a Discord server. If you go into that Discord server and tell us what you want to talk about, if we find you interesting, we'll let you into the Discord server and you can come and talk to us. Just make sure you've got a good microphone and internet connection. That's really all you need. Now then, let's see here. Who's the better big brother, Shining Armor or Big Mac? So, Heather.
Now, that is a hard question.
It is. What do you think, Heather?
Personally, I mean, I see out of the two of them, I think Shining Armor is my favorite, but that's just character-wise. When it comes to the Apple family, like, the bar is just a good relationship, which I'm sure they have. Like, this person is saying, like, Big Mac because Shining Armor doesn't spend as much time with Twilight anymore, which is certainly a factor. They don't spend as much time together as they used to, whereas Big Mac, like, he still lives in the same house as his sister. But like he also tries to put out like, hey, Shining Armor, how the way Shining Armor acted towards Twilight in the Candlelit Wedding. That's just typical sibling rivalry. I wouldn't hold that against him. Even like because Big Mac has his own moments where like he doesn't quite get along with Applejack. Like these days he's more reserved, but we definitely saw Where the Apples Lie, where he was a bit more on the confrontational side with her. So there's definitely some of that. We also have to consider that Big Mac kind of has an inferiority complex with her sometimes because of her accomplishments. If we remember the episode where he became Orchard Blossom.
Yeah.
What was that called again? Freaking
The
Social?
Brotherhood Social, yeah.
Yeah, so like it's hard to say who is the better brother, but I guess we'd have to say Big Mac simply because he can spend more time with his sister. But then again, he's starting his own life. Like last we checked, he had a wife and a child, so he probably isn't as focused on his familial relationship with her, and probably like this, like their proximity is definitely a factor, seeing as they still live on the same property. It would appear, but Shining Armor is helping to run a country, so. If we're talking about in terms of quality time, I guess Big Mac because he still kind of lives close to Applejack, while Shining Armor is like a whole country away and helping to run said country. Now, Twilight is also in on running some country action, so they probably collaborate quite a bit. But still, they might see each other a lot less than the Apples do.
Let me ask you this, Heather. Is it better to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort?
Overcome evil nature, great effort. Because
Alrighty
if it's
then.
effortless, like, come on.
Yes, because, and the reason I asked you that is not just to make a Skyrim reference, which I know you're all about, but
Fuck yeah.
if we looked at the dynamic between Shining Armor and Twilight, if we take that that song Big Brother Best Friend Forever as face value, right? You know, they always spent all their time together. They always got along. They never had a fight. Very supportive. You know, overall, perfect big brother. But then you got Big Mac, who was, you know, back in the day, a tad neglectful, maybe a little bit selfish with Applejack, blunt, argumentative, you know, and then got better as time went on and did more to be there and be a better example for Apple Bloom. So yeah, by that it would still show that by, you know, your definitions there, it would still be Big Macintosh would be the better of the big brothers.
We should also keep in mind that him and Applejack probably trauma bonded over the fact that both their parents died.
Yeah.
And like that, Apple Bloom is that kind of like puts Apple Bloom through a loop because she as a baby probably didn't remember shit of what happened.
Yeah.
But
so if
Big
we're
Mac
talking about
and Applejack were certainly there.
Yeah, if we're talking about like adolescent or, you know, young Apple Bloom versus young Twilight, Shining Armor is definitely the better brother just because he has all of the positive qualities, where Big Mac at the time had a lot more negative qualities as a brother. But, you know, in terms of like Big Mac's dynamic with Apple Bloom, he's a better brother to Apple Bloom now because he went through all of that that learning curve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and yeah, Shining Armor only ever had to juggle one sibling, unless we count Spike. A little bit of Spike, but I hardly ever see him interact with Spike, honestly.
They do have some like common ground with each other, though. We've seen that we've seen Spike and Shining Armor bond over like comics and ogres and oubliettes. Right.
Kitty.
And just being dudes.
Dudes being guys.
Yep.
I would say that dynamic might be a little bit different, but they might be like, yeah, you're my brother. You're my brother? Yeah.
Yep. This guy here says...
Shining Armor's a huge dork, too. Like, Shining Armor seems to be a huge dork, too. He would so be a part of the dynamic.
Yep. And then, of course, you know, Spike came to Ponyville and got Big Mac into all that. Big Mac was part of the frickin' Dungeons and Dragons group.
Yeah. Living out his fantasies.
Yep. So, what does this dude who started the thread say? He says, I personally think it's Big Mac because he's always there to support Applejack and Apple Bloom, while Shining spends most of his time away from Twilight and Spike in the Crystal Empire. Now, I don't think that's fair because they just sort of went in separate directions. Like, they spent all their time together as children, but then Shining went off to the Guard, and Twilight went off to Magic School, and then Twilight went to Ponyville, and Shining went to the Crystal Empire. Right, so that's more towards what you were saying. I don't think that's a fair comparison in that, right? Let's see, this person also says, I'm also not the biggest fan of how Shining Armor acted towards Twilight in the Canterlot wedding and Sparkle 7. Right, so, and we talked about that.
I think I addressed Sparkle 7. I think I talked a little bit about
that.
Yeah,
you did. You said that was typical sibling rivalry. And hey, if, you know, your sister, who you haven't seen in forever, just shows up at your, you know, during your wedding preparations and goes, your fiance's a prick.
Yeah, like freaking.
Are you gonna take that all serious?
If my sister showed up and did that, I would have been like, "What the fuck, man?"
Yeah, which is pretty much what he did, and it's like, hey, you should be happy for me, but if you can't, it's probably better that you're not at the wedding. And even Applejack was like, listen, you're being possessive of your brother, which is a bluntless I did not expect out of Friendship is Magic.
But out of Applejack, for sure.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to disagree slightly. Like, we've got a lot of good points for Big Macintosh, but he had to learn all of that stuff, where shining armor was just good by default.
The flawless man.
And maybe,
Man.
right. And then, but now we got to ask questions of shining armor that we don't know the answer to. Like, how did shining armor get so good? Did he just have, was he just good by nature? Did he have a good mentor or example in his father figures, right? Or in his parents, like, hey, this is your sister, you need to protect her. And sometimes it's just like that for some people.
It is, because, like, even when we see back, I'm thinking of, like, the My Little Pony comic where we saw how him and Cadence got together. He just seemed like kind of just a stereotypical nice guy. He didn't have too much agency. His friends really pushed him to do different things to get Cadence's attention. So I think he really was just absorbing, like, characters that he admired, like the actual knights in shining armor, since he wanted to be part of the Royal Guard, and also his dad seems like a cool dude. Like, just a product of his surroundings, of having good parents and having good role models. If you put all those together, sometimes you just get a fucking good person.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, Big Mac is going to have a steeper learning curve, especially if his main role model is Granny Smith, who is also extremely blunt. And, not really, and if his father
Big Mac is literally fatherless.
Yeah.
Literally fatherless, Big Mac.
Yeah. Exactly. So no father to teach him these things and exemplify these things. Well, then what people do in that situation is they default to whatever suits them in the moment, right? Without it, and that empathy sort of needs to be learned. So I'd say they're on even ground now, but shining armor was always a good brother, whereas Big Mac needed to learn to be a good brother.
At the end of the day, I guess neither of them are bad brothers.
Perhaps. I don't. Let's see here. Let me read the chat a little bit on this. Harriman also Parthurnax. Heather, pronounce that dragon name. Parthenax. Okay. Parthenax would totally end up friends with Celestia and best friends with Luna. Discord would annoy him, but that's also amusing. Do you agree with this headcanon?
Yes, he would have tea.
All right. Cosmin Spirit says, just throwing this out there, what if a guy's night included SA? What? Shining armor.
Shining armor. It's not sexual assault. It's shining armor. It's not sexual assault.
Yeah, so shining armor, thorax, and uncomfortably Zephyr. Maybe a little
uncomfortable for sure.
Yeah. Well, Zephyr would need like the presence of some men in his life as well, some colleagues to and then you could just picture Zephyr just saying something. You could picture Zephyr saying,
has a dad.
Right. Well, his father doesn't discipline him, and that's the whole problem.
Yeah, right, for the guy who isn't fatherless, he displays fatherless behavior.
That's the main crux of fatherless behavior is that is a lack of discipline. So having a father like Fluttershy's dad, I forgot his name, is gonna likely produce.
Is it Whiskey Whistle?
It might have been. Having a father like that will produce similar results to just being fatherless. And, so he definitely needs some bros. And then he says something like creepy about like Rainbow Dash or something like that. And everybody just goes, dude, shut up, no. Or sees him cross a line and then physically checks him, which some boys will do with their friends.
People do it.
Yeah, and that would help a lot. But yeah, Zephyr could definitely be part of Guy's Night. But you could just picture Zephyr at Guy's Night would be a lot like how Zephyr is in that Adorkable series that you write, Heather, or that you read.
I don't write that.
Yeah, well, I misspoke, right? I stutter. I've had a stuttering problem my whole life. Anyway, where he's just like that all the time. And then everybody else around him is like, dude, no, you got to stop that. That's what it would be like.
Yeah, like, it was pretty good because, like, he was getting checked by Soren, because Soren was part of his friend group, and he gets checked by Spike a lot, because Spike is part of his friend group. They get checked a lot. They check him a lot, and he's had to go through some character development because he ended up getting fired from the butt pillow company he had helped founded.
Yeah, so there's that. And and Zephyr would be 100% be like, why are we playing Dungeons and Dragons? Let's go, hit the town and pick up chicks. And Big Mac would be like, dude, we're not going to pick up chicks. That's not how that works. You're an idiot. Freaking sit down and...
Yeah, also we're, like, 2 of us are married and 1 is a child.
Yeah, sit down and roll for initiative. What else we got in the chat here?
You know what's something that occurs to me, because we're talking about Guys Night and Discord being a part of that group. In Adorkable Twilight, I have not seen Discord, like, even once.
Well, because like we were talking about earlier, that guy doesn't want to deal with magic. He just wants to write his weird fan fiction there. So having like an embodiment of an aspect of magic is going to be very difficult for him. Let's see.
Yeah, we
here.
haven't seen Celestia or Luna in that either.
Rusty crashing through our wedding. Brawny, your fiance is a succubus and a hoe. Gets pummeled into oblivion. Who's beating up Rusty here?
Why does
Heather,
he want to die? Why does he want to die?
Well, that's comparing like to what Twilight did to Shining Armor at his wedding. But yeah, who's beating up Rusty in this situation? Is it you or me?
I guess it depends on where his entrance was. If it's at the end of the aisle, I'm pretty sure either of our families would beat the crap out of him before we could even get there. And I got a few bad bitches that I have as friends that would probably be like, if he spawned in anywhere near them doing that, they'd probably be like, oh, the fuck no.
Voice actor Bobby G says, hello, everyone. Hello, Bobby. Let's see here. What do the comments say real quick before we move on? I'm going to give it to Shining Armor because while Big Mac has a far more developed relationship and screen time with Applebloom and Applejack, due to the writers forgetting about Shining's existence for most of the time, Shining was willing and almost does sacrifice himself to King Sombra just to make sure Twilight and Spike escaped him. The big brother instinct is real. He also saves Twilight from a pudding monster in The Best Gift Ever. Not to mention we see that he is always there to spend time and be there for Twilight when she was a foal, even if he can't now due to their duties. So, yeah, he's this guy says Shining Armor's just kind of generally more there. Let's see here. We got a bit of a essay with this one.
Yeah, he's going on for a bit. And he's even got like he cited a comic. Can you actually click on what comic it was to see if I remember it?
Friends Forever number 4.
This cover. I remember this cover, but I don't remember the story. I don't remember the story.
Let's see here.
I kind of remembering it, but I don't remember the plot. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, I'm starting to remember it.
Oh, this was the one where, like, one of Sombra's old traps was, like, taking the books.
Okay.
And they gotta sort of weave their way around Sombra's old traps in a maze to find, oh, this creature that got imprisoned down here, and it liked reading the books.
It's a sad thing. I forgot about this completely.
This was a good comic. I liked this one a lot.
I can barely remember anything that happened, but yeah, this was sweet. This was sweet. Was there ever a Friends Forever for frickin' Applejack and Big Mac? I mean, I guess they didn't need it, but like...
I don't believe
they
there
never
was.
Got one, did they? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
you know what? It's kind of frustrating because we get a lot of one-on-one with Applejack, with Applebloom, but Twilight Sparkle with Shining Armor. If you think about it, Big Mac, like, yeah, it's not really about him and Applejack together at some points. He's usually just going along with what she says, or we get, like, Where the Apples Lies, like, the one time he really had an active part in anything.
Yeah, and so Shining Armor is always there to protect Twilight, but how often does Applejack need protection?
Yeah, Applejack is pretty much kicking ass all the time by herself.
Yep. All right, so
He is always picking up the slack, though, at the farm, but that's an overall family thing. Like, when other people can't do work or everyone's sick, he's usually doing it. And he gets like, injured a lot.
Yeah. So, it's different types of sacrifices. I'm willing to put them as even, but for different reasons. Moving on. Okay, how would you improve Juniper Montage and Wallflower Blush? Now, the title of this one confuses me a little bit because what do you mean by improve? Like, improve them in the sense of their characterization? Or are we on some I can fix her type nonsense?
We both know it's not that. I look at these characters, you know what you can improve is, like, make them less stupid. I know they're teenage characters, but I think a lot of their motivations were very dumb. Like, fucking straight up Juniper Montage was delusional in thinking that she could land the lead role of this movie after her director uncle already told her, hey, like, yeah, no, you can't be in this movie, you're too young. And she doesn't look like Daring Do. She freaking, who knows about acting experience? So I don't know how she thought this plan was gonna work. Like, I guess because she thought, oh, it's so last minute, he'll have to cast me. No, that's stupid. They would put off production. They usually have runner-ups ready for this kind of shit. So even if you got rid of this fucking lead lady, there's no way you would have been picked. Wallflower Blush is also one I think I can argue with a bit more certainty, because Wallflower Blush's whole motivation was stupid. That, like, she's like, oh, everyone forgot about me, but they forgot about you because you erased their memories of them. I would have been more understanding of this. Like I argued this to Brawny earlier, that, like, if it instead was like, oh, she had a huge embarrassing moment that everyone remembered and laughed at, but she wanted and so she found, like, I forget how she took away people's memories. Like, maybe she took everyone's memories of that, but then she realized, oh, wait, shit, these people not only don't remember my embarrassing moment, they don't remember me at all, so I'm completely forgotten and invisible, but I don't want them to remember the embarrassing thing, so I'm just stuck like this, and it sucks. And I can kind of get that. And then at the end, it would be the lesson of, yeah, you're going to have embarrassing moments like that, but that's just part of being seen, and the last thing you want to do is be invisible, because that's very lonely. So sometimes you're just going to have to, like, take the lumps of having an embarrassing moment to have even greater moments than that. So that would have been better. If they had, like, illustrated that very cohesively, it would have been better. That's just how I would have fixed her presentation. Also, outside of that big shit, I can't remember anything else about Wallflower Blush. Like, give her some more traits or something.
Well, okay, so I'm going to disagree with you on this one, Heather, because I have met people this frickin' stupid that try these types of things. Where, you know, Juniper is like, hey, if I sabotage my competition, then I'll get it. It's like, no, that, you know, you're either already in or you're not, right? So she doesn't know that type of thing, and she thinks she can fix it. I've met people like that. That's a very believable level of stupid. So if we're talking about improving these characters in terms of their character, in terms of their characterization, what I would do with Juniper is, well, actually, when she became a problem, like when she got equestrian magic and turned into her own version of a giant monster there, I would have made the action a little bit better. It was so dumb. They're just, like, chasing each other around some booth at the mall. And it is so
it was
cringy.
Weird for me that she would just go around. I guess that's the only way to describe it. She would just go around being like, do you want my picture? And it's just like, ew, giant lady being weird.
Yeah, like give her some kind of power. Everybody else that had to deal with it, that inherited equestrian magic, had a power of some kind. You know, as Sunset turned into the demon form and could throw magic bolts and super powerful, energy blasts. Who we got? We got the Sirens, right? The Sirens was that whole thing. Number 3 was Midnight Sparkle. So very similar to what happened with Sunset. Gloriosa Daisy had the ability to control nature, and then right after that, we get Juniper frickin' Montage, who just becomes 8 feet tall and runs around the mall and acts weird.
And makes everyone uncomfortable.
Yeah, you could have done so much. Like, even that other chick, Who was the OnlyFans model that Rarity was trying to suck up to? That
I forget her name, but I remember who you talked about.
Yeah,
I watched that special.
Yeah, even that one, like, she had an ability with her phone. I don't remember what Juniper Montage's ability was, if she had one. Someone help me out.
She had a mirror that kind of just made her more delusional.
Okay, yeah. So it was all turned inward. That Juniper's personality and what she was trying to do and the way that, like, magic, if it was similar to Gloriosa Daisy, she would have been a reality warper, and it would have been very difficult to deal with that, and it would have taken, you know, like, the combined magical prowess and knowledge of Starlight Glimmer and Sunset Shimmer to figure out how to counter something like that, especially while they probably don't have a whole lot of innate magic themselves in their human forms right now. That would have been super interesting to deal with. Like, hey, I can literally edit reality like a movie now and do reshoots or change the script or change your abilities, like that type of thing. Or we could have given her a stand, like from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That would have been really cool with Juniper Montage. I can believe her motivations. I can believe her characterization. I would have given her a better power. What do you think, Heather?
She was able to trap the main six in a mirror for a little bit, but yeah, if they had just gotten more constructive with things, I think it would have been a lot cooler.
Yeah, the mirror, that's what I'm saying. The mirror was dumb as frick, and they didn't really do anything with it. Now, Wallflower Blush. That's social anxiety. And we all know people like Wallflower Blush. You know, so...
Yeah, which is why I think my reconstruction works better, because, like, it feels to, like, yeah, it's going to be like that sometimes, but it's going to be worth it.
Right. But her thing was that she blamed Sunset Shimmer for causing that isolation, and really hated that Sunset was able to be forgiven and redeemed by the school, while she just got forgotten. Now, she didn't realize that that people forgetting about her and treating her the way they did was self-inflicted, which is also something you see commonly in people like these two, especially people with frickin' NPD like Juniper, or severe social anxiety like Wallflower. You see that type of self-destructive behavior in people like that all the time, and they just don't even realize it, or even if they do, they refuse to do anything about it. So
perhaps I'm just too, like, spoiled in, like, well, I don't know. I've met some pretty dumb people, but these kind of delusions, like, I just go, this is too crazy to be realistic. Looks to humanity. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I actually think Wallflower Blush in her presentation was darn near perfect. I don't think I'd really change very much about it. It was realistic. It delivered a really good message that a lot of people need to hear. And the power wasn't too broken. It was something that was very easy to, like, figure out and could be very easily believed within the context of its world. They were just on a time limit, you know, and those are really good ways to... Yeah.
I'm going to say I agree with you. I keep thinking you're done, but you're not done.
Well, I'm done now.
But, like, freaking... Okay. So, like, I do like how that plot challenged Sunset Shimmer, but I don't think that's, like, something I can really give to Wallflower Blush in particular. But I do like how it challenged her and had to make, like, you know, made her seek different forms of alliances when her, like, you know, primary support group was no longer in her court, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so let me address the chat here real quick. Let's see here. Juniper's magic form was dumb. Vignette Valencia. Thank you very much, Yoshi. Okay, the worst with Wallflower was that the writers made it seem that Sunset was in the wrong. Like, she was supposed to take the initiative in making friends with her. What do you think about that, Heather?
That is kind of fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that shit too, where, like, I really hate where a plot revolves around the fact that, like, oh, you should have just done this thing or known to do this thing that no one fucking asked you to do, but everyone kind of wanted you, but, like, someone wanted you to do it. Like, fucking, it goes back.
And you're just
like,
supposed to read
that.
everybody's mind, like...
Oh, well, to be fair, Sunset can do that.
Right.
Sunset can read minds, but I'm just saying, like, if you don't communicate a need, then maybe you should fucking, like, suck it up, bitch. If you can't tell people what you want or what you need, it might be your fault.
Well, Sunset can read minds on the conditions that A, she touches you, and B, she wants to read your mind. So, on what...
that's not true. She did it on accident once.
Well, when she was getting the powers and they were out of control, then yes, but...
yeah, and so basically she needs consent to read your mind, yo. Well, at least she'd prefer to have it. Sorry, she didn't just fucking touch you.
Under what unprompted circumstances is Sunset going to touch you and then think, I need to activate my powers? The only reason she's going to do that is if you're already freaking, screwing around with equestrian magic and ruining people's lives. Harriman says, gasp. Brawny mentioned JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in a positive manner. Who are you and what did you do with the... No, you listen to what I said. I said having a stand like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure would be fitting in this context. I could see it. I could understand it. That doesn't make JoJo's Bizarre Adventure worth the time of day it takes up. Michelle Miller.
It's got good memes.
Yeah. Michelle Miller says, hi, Brawny and Heather. Hello, Michelle Miller. Do we know Michelle Miller?
I don't know. I assume it's a person. It looks like they have a black cat as a profile picture, so immediately I'm on board.
Alrighty then. Didn't Wallflower know that the stone was erasing memories and continued to doing it? Yes, she did. That's why she did. She did every time she
put two and two together.
Yeah, but every time she like tripped in the hallway, every time she came out of the bathroom with toilet paper stuck to her shoe, every time the waiter said enjoy your food and she said you too. She used the stone.
It's just so petty and dumb. If I had this kind of thing, I'm sorry, but even in me as a kid, like as a teenager, I could not see myself using a stone like this for this kind of reason. You know, the one thing I would use it for is on a crush. Like I keep trying to say the right thing and I say the wrong thing. So I erase their memory and I start over again fresh. I feel like someone in a TV series did that with like time looping powers. And the only reason that they fucking stopped doing it was because, like, it was like a time looping power. Like a certain course of events, like a butterfly effect had to happen so something good would happen. And when she finally got the line down right, it meant that something bad would happen because she finally got to have this moment. But like it was a whole fucking thing. I'm just saying, like, I couldn't see me using it, even as my teenage self, using this to do stupid shit like, oh no, someone saw me fall down. No, this is the kind of shit where you'd use this for like comebacks if it was like a redo switch.
Yeah. Well, that was that pop star duet when they went to the music festival and time kept repeating itself. And Sunset was the only one who... That was exactly what was going on there. They were trying to have the perfect performance, so they kept Groundhog Daying it.
Brawny, have you ever seen the pilot to Steven Universe? Like, the actual pilot?
No, I haven't.
Completely different art style. The thing is, they gave... Like, if you remember Steven Universe, they gave... the pilot had Steven have that fucking hourglass thing he had, and he was able to just loop time back a couple seconds real quick. And you know how he figured this out and what he used it for?
What did he do?
He used it for fucking comebacks. Like, he went up to Lars, and then this one, it seemed like Lars was more of a bully, and Steven kind of recognized that and hated him. Mm-hmm. And so, like, he would use this thing to, like, just say the stuff he thought of later. Like, when Lars would say, give him, like, an insult, he'd be like, well, yeah, well, your mom dead. And, like, just keep adding on to it so he could get back at Lars. It was actually a really good pilot. It was a really good pilot. It was a really funny way for that all to work.
But Wallflower Stone wasn't about that.
It wasn't redo. It was like purely like, oh, it happened, but like now they don't remember it happened.
Yes, it was just a memory. It was a memory eraser charm. The stuff that they had in the Backstage Pass episode, that was a redo. So
yeah. That one, and that one was fine. I remember liking that.
Yeah.
But I think it's 7:05.
Okay, should we call it there then? Let's read the comments just a little bit, and then
we'll read a comment or two and then call it a day, because like I think we got a good conversation going with just the 2 posts we went over.
Wallflower, make her motivation be that she was one of Sunset's old victims in the past and resents that everyone likes her now, which we did sort of touch on a little bit.
Well, like, yeah, but it's not revealed that Sunset even, like, did anything in particular other than exist.
Yeah. She didn't even do anything specifically to Wallflower. She just was mad that she used to be mean and now people like her. Let's see here. Oh, those were the only 2 comments. All right, so we got it.
Nuts. What did they say about Juniper?
Let's see here. Juniper, I got nothing for. She stole the props herself in order to sabotage the movie, nearly getting Chestnut Magnifico fired, and get the movie canceled. Also, she could have a shot at playing Daring Do, but the reason she couldn't play her role was because she was too young in the first place. The only thing going for her is her design, but that's it. She made her bed, got a free pass, and was able to get another job due to her uncle. Still complained, and then out of nowhere just wanted friends and is sorry for her actions. No, I can't improve this one.
Yeah, you know what? Out of the 2 of them, I think Wallflower was better. Juniper, like, there needs to be, like, maybe we just redo the whole thing. Redo the whole thing.
Wallflower, just
like, maybe if she wanted, like a extra role. But because, I don't know, maybe her director uncle was like, no, I don't want it to make it look like you're a Nepo baby. That'd be taking advantage of my position. And the people who get the extra roles, like, were a part of a contest, which you didn't win. So, no, we're not doing nepotism. And that could be the thing. Because that makes a little more sense. Like, it'd be like I'm entitled, and because my family's in the business, I should get this thing kind of deal. You know, it's coming down from being a spoiled brat into, like, a balanced person. And that way the punishment, I feel like, would be even better, because it's, like, humbling. Because it's like, yeah, you spoiled brat. Not only do you not get to be an extra in this movie you wanted to be in, you don't get the fancy assistant job on a movie set that you could brag to your friends about, and now you work for minimum wage at a movie theater, and you have to serve other people. I think that would have been better if it was something more like that.
Yeah. Wallflower, I just gotta say, like, we could fix her. Just freaking brush your hair, gosh darn it. Like, I know you're supposed to be like Watamode over there, but God, you are hard to look at.
It's a part of it. It's a part of it.
I know it is. It doesn't make it better, though. Like, I get it, but it doesn't make it better. It's like Spike singing. I get that it's supposed to be bad, but it's still bad. Alrighty then, so we're gonna call it there. We got a busy night ahead of us. I'm sorry for the short stream, guys. Please forgive me. We'll be back on our regularly scheduled frickin' nonsense next weekend, and until I frickin' croak. So, thanks to everybody who tuned in. We're going to, we'll see you next time. We're very grateful to everybody who supports, especially the $10 and up tier, such as Heather and Shady and Autoknight, Emerald, Senko, DJ, Rain, Billy, Alden, Kanto, Mr. Sonic, Alicia, StarChaser, VentureCorp, Willyzin, Icanus, Vulpecula, Jimmy, Yoshi, and Dark Malcontent. Have a wonderful night. Stay safe. God bless. We'll see you next time. Say goodnight, Heather.
Good night. Bye. About to get go fit fuck faced with ice cream.